actionable tips that you can implement, hopefully before the end of the PBX week, that will improve your Google ranking. So let's just get stuck in. So SEO starts from your domain. And for those of you who don't know what a domain is, can everyone see my screen? Cool. So I've just highlighted it at the top in blue. So everybody who owns a website needs to register a domain. Now, a part of a technical Google ranking factor is to make that domain registration public information. And that address is usually your place of business. It doesn't matter if it's your home, if it's a rental address, or if it's a fixed premises, make it public. And I'm going to show you an example now of a client of mine who hasn't made their address public just yet. So if I scroll down, you can see where it says redacted for privacy, redacted for privacy. This tells Google there's something to hide for no apparent reason. It's not the only ranking factor, but it is a ranking factor, and it should look something like this, and this is mine. So I'm publicly sharing my address. How do you do this? You will Google search www.who.is, send them an email, check your own website, and if it's not private, submit your address and make it public information. That address also needs to be the exact address on your Google My Business page. So on my website, it's 43 to 51 New North Road. It's the same on our Google My Business listing, 43 to 51 New North Road. And it's also the same address on the contact page of our website, 43 to 51 New North Road. The address is a very important factor because it also helps you rank in the Google My Business section. So some of you might write address with the word ST for street, and in other areas you might spell it out STREET. The consistency of that is very important. So if you're sticking to ST, keep it everywhere. If you're keeping to street, write the word street everywhere. So that's your domain. And another important factor is the actual period of registration. So a lot of websites every year will be charged somewhere between $10 to $15 every year to renew their domain registration. Renew that for 10 years in advance. And the way you can do that is by, again, contacting your hosting provider and asking them, please can I forward pay for the next 10 years? That's the maximum period you can do, and everybody can do this. So again, we started our rental company on the 22nd of May 2013, but our expiry date is the 22nd of May 2023. The reason for this is because by having a domain contracted this many years in advance, it tells Google that this domain is worth of a certain value, more than one that is only for 1 or 2 years. So this, again, is something everybody can do at the end of the session. Contact your hosting provider and get that domain extended. Right, the next item that, again, everybody can do is on that same visit of contacting the hosting provider, majority of us currently pay somewhere between $80 and $150 a year to host the website. And we're all paying a shared IP for a shared IP service. Switch to a dedicated IP. And the reason why you should switch to a dedicated IP is because Google's webmaster guidelines state that if a dedicated IP is hacked, it's down to security on your website. There are protocols you can put in on your website to make it more secure, but we're not talking about that today. Whereas a shared IP, if, for example, the yellow server was to get hacked, it meant that the orange and pink server would also go down and therefore make your website more vulnerable. So when you contact your hosting provider, I want to renew my registration number for 10 years in advance. I want a dedicated IP service, please, and I would like my registration address to be made public. There are 3 things you can do in one visit. Moving on to the next point, a lot of you may be familiar with this. It's called an SSL. It stands for Secure Socket Layer. In plain English, you effectively want a padlock next to your domain, and you want the S to be stated after the P. And all that means is the data transfer between your server and your website is encrypted, which again, Google favors, because you take care of the personal information that gets put through your website on the contact forms and the email addresses. So these are very simple tasks that everybody can implement today by contacting your hosting provider. The last one is updates. I'm not talking about updates in terms of text changing or image changes. I'm talking about software updates for all the plugins that sit on your website. So those plugins might be Yoast, it might be Screaming Frog, it might be the Find button if somebody puts a postcode in onto their website and there's a whole bunch of addresses that are pre-populated. They are all plugins. If you are on WordPress, if you're on Wix, if you're on Squarespace, PHP, whatever platform it is you use, make sure those are updated because, again, it will keep your site secure. So those 5 points will encompass a good, strong technical basis of SEO. But that is not enough to get you to being a page 1, top 3 player on Google Organic Search. So over the last 8 months, I have been sort of doing a lot of A/B testing on what I think is a good, strong basis of Google Eat. In December 2022, they made a public announcement. They will be looking at websites that satisfy the EAT criteria. What does EAT stand for? Your website needs to demonstrate authoritativeness. It needs to demonstrate experience. It needs to demonstrate expertise. And most importantly, it needs to be underpinned with an uber amount of trust. So how do we do this? There are several ways you can demonstrate authoritativeness, experience, expertise, which ultimately result in user trust. And I'm going to go through our website, which is in a PDF format at the moment, soon to be live. And we'll start. So we say hire in the UK. I know you guys say rental. So if we search Photobooth Hire London, Showtime ranks number 1. So the first on-page factor is called page title. Now, for those of you who are running a photo booth rental company, the page title is effectively normally the text in blue. I've been Google searching this a few times today, so that's why it's showing purple, but as you can see, if I scroll down, it's highlighted in blue there, blue there. So you want to have your brand name first, so mine is Showtime Photo Booth, and then your primary keyword. Now, in the photo booth rental industry, the primary keyword is photo booth rental location. It can be location photo booth rental. It doesn't matter because the search intent is the same. But those typically 4 words, photo booth rental and location, will drive the biggest volume of searches against conversion. A few years back, I was also ranking very well for Photo Booth London, and we would still get a bunch of inquiries, but their intent was not to hire from us. It was more, is the shop open? We'd like to come in and get a passport picture. And that is not the type of inquiry we want. We want somebody to hire or rent from us. It's very important we include that word in our primary page title. If you're looking to rank for other products, so it could be a retro or vintage photo booth, that title will simply change to retro photo booth hire or rental location, or it's a 360, a magic mirror, etc., etc. And then the next part is the meta description, which I'm going to highlight here in blue. And for those of you who are interested in making this part live as well, it's 160 characters, including spaces. Those are Google's guidelines. If you exceed them, Google will randomly pick any piece of text from that page. So your page title needs to be your brand name, and then the target keyword, which is photo booth rental location, and then you want to put 160 characters into the meta description, and all of this you can do once you log into your back end. For the purposes of correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation, you want the word in a sentence in the meta description and any content on your website. So for somebody who's operating a rental company in Dallas, it would be the go-to company for photo booth rental in Dallas, because you would be marginally penalized for not being grammatically correct in a sentence. But in a title, it's absolutely fine, as I have done for Photo Booth Hire London. So this is our website.
Gareth, I know you said you wanted to do Q&A, so before you move on, just a real quick, you said 160 characters.
Yes.
Is that at no more than 160? And what if you do 120?
So anything less is fine, but you're wasting property. you've got 160 characters to use it, and it does include spaces. Does anybody have any questions on anything that we've sort of discussed so far?
Hold on, I know you're asking, but we can't hear you. Step to the mic and I'll be happy to let you voice your question. Where? Oh, you're all the way in the front. They're gonna make me work. I don't think I can get to that speaker.
Better video.
Can we get better video? Ah, well, in there is always the rub, but we're working on it. It's always a challenge when they use different mediums. Miss, if you can just somehow get to me, I'll get your question.
I think it's just us.
Can you hear me?
Yeah?
When we see it clear, because we're on this side.
Referring to your page title to be the company name and then the keyword.
Yep.
Do you mean your hosting site that you should go into each page, like my company name and then that photo, or is it
When you log into the back end, it will be called page title. And that's a universal word, whichever platform you're building your website on or you're running your business on.
And her question was, where does that information go? And the answer is the page title.
My question is about where you're talking about the keywords.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, if you have more than one, like you want to do photo booth on a page, you want to do a DJ on another page, can you do that? Or do you have to have separate websites?
So that's an excellent question, and the only way to answer that is to demonstrate it. So my primary term is Photo Booth High London. Now, we also have a couple of units from every booth, so if we do retro Photo Booth High London, you can see we still rank #1 in London. However, it is now our retro page. So you want to be able to basically segment your website per product without cannibalization. So retro and vintage are very similar. Someone's looking for the same intent. Whereas if you then wanted to target, for example, wedding, that is a completely different intent for a photo booth as opposed to a retro or vintage. So if you have a DJ business or a dance floor company and a photo booth, my recommendation would be to keep to the same website, but a different page per product. Otherwise you'll be diluting too much.
Okay, so Footloose Entertainment / photo booth.
Correct.
Footloose Entertainment /
Weddings
or DJs or mitzvahs, and I think that covers that. And for the booth...
Can I just add something to that as well?
Yeah, hold that thought. Thank you for the expansion on that. I think that's going to help the people who want a better video. Go ahead,
For those of you who then operate in multiple locations, again, you would create xyzphotobooth.com /Austin/photobooth. You wouldn't target the same page for multiple locations because, again, you're diluting the relevancy.
Smart.
Is there a particular way where if we're offering bundle services, should we so you're saying target each page per product. Is there a way to sort of double dip and guide them to other areas of your website without damaging that targeted page?
Yes, and I will come on to that as to when I show you what we've done on our home page for other services.
See, forward thinker, I like that. Last question on this topic and we're going to move on.
I think it's very much in line with what the person before me asked. Does ranking high on one of my segmented pages help me rank higher all over for my homepage?
Not exactly.
So you're saying that you've got one page ranking really well, will it help your other pages on the same website? Yes and no. The answer is yes, if you have a link to the secondary page on that primary page, because you're then passing the link juice and the flow and the authority through the link to the second page. If you don't have a link, then it's basically a widow page. It's standalone to the same family, but not connected.
Another really good question. Thanks for your patience. She wants to know.
Yes, so for my business, I do not disclose my physical presence or address. How can I ensure that I rank high if I don't have a physical address listed with my Google My Page?
Very good question. Where do you work from?
I work from home.
So that's your address.
Yes, but I don't want my address listed or public.
Okay, so what's the reason for you not wanting your address to be listed?
Children, safety, you don't want people knocking on your door because it's not a real it's a real business, but it's not one that you can walk up to. And I'll help you out here. The answer is a PMB, which is a post office box that gives you a physical address. And it can be listed not as a P.O. box, that's the U.S. Postal Service, but something like post boxes, etc., or something, that will give you an actual physical address. Yes, yes, the UPS store, there you go. Carry on,
So
sir.
we get to carry on? Okay, cool. So this is our new sort of homepage, and we've tried our level best to be able to satisfy the Google E guidelines. So I'm just going to remind everybody: authoritativeness, expertise, experience, and overall trust. So with the page title being Showtime Photo Booth space Photo Booth High London, the H1 tag also needs to be the same to show relevance. And the simplest way to put it is the page title is the cover of the book, the page title is the first chapter. So in this case, my page title, my heading tag is Photo Booth High London, which is H1. So I would recommend everybody change their H1 tag to match their page title to increase the relevancy. And we've deliberately put it in a bigger size font to emphasize relevancy. The next factor after that is in the first 50 words, you need to mention that primary keyword again, which we have done here, photo booth hire in London. So this is again another ranking factor, very easy for any webmaster to implement. And all of this needs to be done before the page starts to scroll, which is known as above the fold. So in this case, if you guys look at the screen, as soon as I move my cursor down, the page will move. So before that page moves, you need to be able to, on a mobile and a desktop and a tablet, very easily be able to identify, this website's about photo booth hiring. And what we have also done, which I think is something that will not only just improve your SEO, but will actually make you a better business, is try and get your business featured in a local magazine or a local newspaper or a local radio channel, because it is third-party social proof. And that satisfies the experience, the authoritativeness, and the trustworthiness signals of the Google E guidelines. So we've been featured in Cosmopolitan, Glamour, Marie Claire, Grazie and Wedding. And then from a user experience, we've also listed the number of sections, or the important sections, on our website, on this particular page. So we've got photo booths, branding, clients, venues, areas we cover, and contact, and then a very basic photo booths, branding, our work, and contact section at the top. 85% of our business in London is corporate. Last year we did 11 events on a weekend. So the majority of our work is Monday to Friday, corporate money. So you then scroll down and you quickly want to be able to tell and show the user that you are an established brand, and numbers are a really good way to demonstrate that. So again, this is some design, but come up with some digits that very easily justify who you are, how long you've been doing it. So we respond within 4 hours. We've got an inventory of 15 different booths. We've got 564 Google reviews. We've done over a couple of thousand events. And then if we scroll a bit more to the right, which I can't in a PDF, we've talked about the number of prints that we've done as a business and the number of photos that we've taken, and the numbers get bigger and bigger by 1 digit every time. And that's just a pure design factor. But again, every website, not just a booth company, why should somebody choose you? It's a really nice way to get that word count up and make the headings really short and snappy, so people skimming through can just quickly determine what it is that you offer that other people don't, or what it is you offer that's better than everybody else. So for us, as a policy, we never subcontract any work, we just pass the booking on, we don't want the risk. We're on time, we're chosen by big brands, and we've been doing it since 10 years, and we've got a bunch of Google reviews, and then just put some pictures in. So far you want to have some numbers, you want your page title and some content put in at the top, you want to have a section as to why people should choose your website, and then we have some celebrity endorsements. So for those of you who play snooker or billiards, Ronnie O'Sullivan's a really big name in the UK. He was actually a customer, and 147 is the highest break you can get on the snooker table, and we were fortunate to get that quote and permission, which we put on our website. Again, social proof. Even though we're a photo booth company, you know nothing about photo booths, but you can see that we're featured in some pretty prestigious PR brands, and we have some third-party celebrity endorsement. Then you get straight down to the business, which is the photo booths, which is why they're here. So another big ranking factor, which is actually pretty new, is images. Make sure your images are original and not copied from somebody else. Unless you do something drastic to change that image, Google will recognize that these images are borrowed without payment. Unless you're using images from stock, which I think a lot of us probably don't do, me included. So these are all our own images. Get your own photos. We're a photographic company. Images speak louder than words. So we've got 15 different units. I'll just make that a bit bigger for everybody. So on the real life website, when you click on it, it will take you through to a lot more information about that particular booth. And you can see we're very content light on this section, deliberately, because we want to showcase our work set up. And due to the volume of inquiries, we had to put a filtration system in place, because for a small business to manage 3,000 inquiries is too much. So we've now actually decided to put prices on our website. So we charge £900, which is equivalent to about $1,300 for 3 hours for a minimum product for a set period of time. So we primarily target branding. So as you can see, we're keeping people on the page. So Google is loving this, because they are serving up a page that the customer sits on, continues scrolling, and doesn't click back or to another page on the website. So you increase your paid session and you reduce your bounce rate. So we do branding in 6 different ways. We brand the reps, we brand the booths, the prints, the backdrops, the user experience screens, SMS and email and microsites. Again, highly visual. And you need to go light on the content, but we've massaged the keyword into the content again, as you can see. Photo booth hire in London. So everywhere you get a chance, don't deliberately drop it in, but sprinkle it in, and it's got to read naturally. So coming back to the other lady's question, other services that we offer. So we use Ryan Jacobs at Spot My Photos for headshots. We do photography, and we do the occasional bit of videography, but this is not our core business. But it's just some other services, and again, we've just massaged in. We are more than just a photo booth hire company. And one of our primary keywords for this page is photo booth hire. The next section you want to have is if you target this market. It's a small section about corporates. Again, photography is very important. You want to be able to justify a corporate event with a corporate photograph. No one cares about the text. It doesn't really matter. It's all about the image and the title. And as you can see, we've deliberately put the words corporate into the tag. What do I mean by tag? At the beginning of the website, it was photo booth hire in London, which is H1. This tag is called H2, and the H stands for heading. Heading 1 is the most important tag, and there should only be one heading, H1 tag, on the page. And that is why we have photo booth hire in London block capitals in a bigger font than any other piece of text, at the top of the page, above the fold. So we do corporates, and then again, it's a classic spin to sell trustworthiness, expertise, and authoritativeness, is to drop in the clients. Whichever market you're in, put the brands in that everybody recognizes first. Then fill up the rest with the smaller ones. You don't need to list all of them here. Have a tab going to a dedicated clients page if you have a big fleet of clients. So on the real website, the words client list would be clickable, which would then take us somewhere else. Again, third-party verification is having testimonials written by clients that you can use on your website. This is a really nice way to get that keyword count and the character count up without looking like lots and lots of chunky pieces of text. We've put 6 in here, and we've deliberately chosen a set of customers that incorporate corporate, event agency, charity, a venue, and a private couple as well, a bride and groom. So you're addressing every potential client. And then we do another section for weddings. Again, very similar to corporate in terms of design. H2 again. So if you now Google search wedding photo booth hire in London, our page will also rank, and we're also targeting corporate. Another section to include is venues. It's always reassuring for customers to know that a supplier has worked at their venue. It means they meet the health and safety requirements, they're familiar with the parking and loading arrangements, versus somebody that has not. So again, just to recap, because we're about halfway through the page now, sections that everybody can include on their money page is venues, a section about weddings, some customer testimonials, a section of clients, some corporate work, if you offer other services, the booths, the branding, the booth types, the celebrity endorsement. The best way to get this is if you get an inquiry for any high-profile person, just do it for free, whatever they want, because it's worth way more than the cost of doing the job to have the endorsement. Why choose you? Some statistics, and a cover photo which includes your primary keywords. And obviously the PR, if you can get that, which is a bit harder to get. But again, same method. If you get a PR or a magazine company that's doing like an editorial party or leading party, do it for free on the basis that you can get some coverage, because it's worth way more. It's an investment, it's not a cost. So just moving swiftly on, again, a small section for party. So I actually stole this from another website which I really like, is Did You Know? So we just share a few things that are fact-based for people who are scrolling through I call it a smile in your brain. Nothing really changes on the face, but you think, oh, okay, that was interesting to know. And it's something for you to take away, irrespective of whether you choose to work with this company or not. You'll be memorable. So we're in the photographic industry, so we thought one of the things was one of the most viewed photos in the world, and there's a few others. Once the website is live, you'll be able to go through them, and it's actually the Windows desktop with the green grass and the blue skies. A Google Reviews plugin, very, very different to what customers say. What customers say, you can pick the logo, you can pick their name, you can pick their position, and you can almost tailor the quote. It's an endorsement. Whereas Google Reviews are a lot more in the many, and this is just an API or a plugin. So again, WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, PHP, whatever you are, it's a basic plugin. Ask your website designer or developer to just plug in Google Reviews. And then you can press more to keep showing. You don't need to show all 80, 90, or however many it has. Just a sample, and that will send the message of we are a trustworthy, credible business with a lot of expertise. We then have a video, and this again is a really, really nice way to keep people on that page without them having to read clunks of text. Doesn't matter how long the video is, my recommendation is keep it no less than a minute and no more than 90 seconds, because it's like when you see a YouTube feed and you see 3 minutes, no matter how good the title is, it's like I have 3 minutes. This, for us, has actually changed a lot of the locations of the inquiries that we get, because we are a central London only business. And rather than listing a whole bunch of locations again, which look, in my opinion, not aesthetically pleasing, is get a map. Where do you get a map from? So just type in Philadelphia images, find a map. If it doesn't work, get that map, go to Fiverr, a graphic design company, or anybody else, and ask them to redraw it. And that is what we've done here, to very easily list the areas that we cover, and there's a very basic key, where travel's included and there's a travel charge. And then for the purposes of SEO, we've then created separate separate pages. So if you were to then click on North London, at the top of the page it would say photo booth hire North London, because we're now targeting that location, and the URL would be showtimephotobooth.co.uk/North London. So it's very important. Different location, different page. It's okay to keep the same website. And then some FAQs. Again, a really, really good way to massage that character count and get it up to... The average page has about 2,000 words. So we have 2,000 words on this page without it looking very, very text-heavy. And the way we've done that is to create these drop-downs. And you're probably thinking, what does this here actually mean with Microsoft and stuff say? Or refer to this website. I'll come back to that in a few minutes. So you press the plus button and there'll be more questions. And the questions you want to put here are the questions that you regularly get asked. So make a real conscious note of what is it, or what do we need to supply, how much is the deposit, etc. We answer a lot of those questions on our product pages, but there are still questions that we get asked. Do you have a public liability insurance? Do you have disability access? Can your photo booth go, can it go upstairs? So it's a really nice way because, again, Google's looking at which way the user behaves on the website. So if they come onto the FAQ section, they click open, and the screen then stays there for 8 to 10 seconds, that's a big tick in the Google algorithm, as opposed to somebody just scrolling past because it's pointless. And then we have a very basic quote request and a contact form. This has nothing to do with SEO, but it's something that we implemented about 4 years ago that has really changed the volume of inquiry that we get outside of office hours and weekends, and it's actually calling a prompt. A lot of people search on their way home Saturday morning, and they see a landline, and they think nobody's going to be at the other end of that call. So include a mobile number if you feel comfortable, and if you want the extra work coming through outside of office hours and weekends, I certainly do, I need it. So we've put a call to action that clearly says for inquiries outside of office hours and weekends, please call, and you can copy that word for word, doesn't matter. So that's a very basic contact form. And this is all one page, guys. It's just one page. So the customer should never need to leave this page. And then we have a very basic Instagram feed and a footer. Now there are some more sections that I'm considering including, which you might also want to include. And one of them is a customer testimonial video, is to actually show a real person behind a camera talking about the event with some B-roll coming in and out of us actually working that event. So it's quite an involved project, and that's why it's not been included yet because we haven't filmed it. Maybe some awards, if you guys want to enter some awards. It's a very, very big reason to go with a company, because if they want an award, they're clearly better than the competition, and they're trustworthy, and they've got plenty of expertise and authoritativeness. You could potentially, if you do email marketing, also include a bar to put your email address in where people can sign up stuff. We just don't have the time to do email marketing, so we just haven't bothered including it, but it's something you could do if you've got new products coming out, or special offers, or discounts for certain times of the year. A little about us section. Again, some people want to do that if they're a small, a small organisation where they want to make it personal. For me personally, and the type of clients we work with, I don't think they care who's behind the business. They just want somebody to turn up, do a good job. So there's no point taking more real estate on that page without any extra value and conversion. And then the last thing is obviously team photos. So we constantly struggle with recruitment in our business, as I'm sure most of other folk we've hired can see, because the turnover of staff is so high. So we just haven't bothered to do a team page. And again, my opinion is I don't think our type of clients care who's coming. They just want that piece of equipment at that time, on that day, at that venue. So coming back to the FAQs, this concept is all about making sure that the person on your website terminates the search with you, because you've given them all the reasons why they should go on to make that inquiry with you. And it's no different to the way Porsche, Ferrari, and any other big global brands operate. You trust them. It's a case of whether you can afford it, and in our case, it's whether they were available. And this is what SEO is all about now. It's no longer about just slapping 1,000 words and putting a whole bunch of spammy links and the keyword in as many times as you can. It's completely changed. And getting these points in will actually make you a better business, because to have a testimonial from a big blue chip brand in your local area, to have a very prestigious 5-star venue be a preferred supplier, to have a bunch of Google reviews, to have the PR, to have a celebrity endorsement, they're very hard things to acquire. But once you have them, Google recognizes it and will reward you for it. So coming back to the earwax removal, so it's another business that we have in London. It's me, my brother, and a couple of other surgeons that operate it, and we've applied exactly the same methodology. This business is, we were the first people to create a service whereby we send a doctor out to you. You don't need to come to the clinic. And we remove earwax, we treat infections, we provide prescriptions for both adults and children 24 hours a day in London. So I'm just going to scroll through it. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's very similar, but the concept is the same. Instead of sending a photo booth to a venue, we are sending a doctor to somebody's house. So same thing, we've got the PR, statistics, you know, why choose Oris. We've got Ronnie again. A little bit different here on the day, so I didn't feel like we needed to include a process on booking a photo booth. It's, you know, if you need to understand that, you're probably not right for us. But for as a healthcare service, people would like to know from consultation to aftercare what the process is going to be. Again, because it's a business to consumer-led business, I thought it was very important to have a face that somebody can feel comfortable with. Not so much for the photo booth industry, so we then got you know, a headshot in action with one of the doctors. So this is the equivalent of our photo booth section, which is the microsuction treatment. Again, we've included a video. In this case, it's not about a setup. We've done a 3D animation on how the procedure works. Other treatments, so for booths, we've talked about other services, so which is ear infections and foreign bodies. There's a slider about earwax, so those of you a bit squeamish, turn away. We also offer a children's service. Again, very similar. Corporate clients we do ear care plans for as well, largely in the music business, recording studios and theatres. Some reasons as to why you should choose a doctor to come to see you as opposed to go to a clinic, because we were the first people to do this, so we had a little bit of education to do. I don't think you need to educate somebody who's looking for a photo booth that we're there to document your event. It's pretty straightforward. We also offer emergency appointments. Again, it's something not relevant to the booth industry. Same concept again, what did you know? Here we have a price list because it's very hard to have a price list on the photo booth industry because there's so many variables. Again, Google Reviews plugin, same again. Areas we cover, same again. FAQs, same again. Appointment request contact, same again. Nothing needs to change, same business, different clientele, doesn't matter. So everybody here in this room can copy this exact section as well, just design it to suit you. You can design it yourself, you can get a web designer, it doesn't matter. But include this content because it will tell Google, A, you care about your business, B, the people coming to your website are clearly satisfied because they're scrolling from top to bottom, and the design should always change from every section because you want to reward somebody for continuing to scroll. An Instagram feed, our healthcare regulations, and again, a very basic front end.
Thank you.
And this same page layout can be replicated for your product pages. So if you've got a open air photo booth, same thing. It's the areas we cover because somebody's then searching for an open air photo booth hire in London. Except the title at the top will need to change, the meta description will need to change, but the did you knows and all the other bits can stay the same. So that's it from the presentation, and I just want to open the room up to any questions. And I really hope there's some valuable stuff there that everybody has learned and feel confident in going and implementing on their website because it really will make a difference. Me personally, I learned this in probably spent about £40,000 on poor SEO, but I was so desperate to get to #1 because I did an event for an agency back in 2015 or 16. And I got paid £250 to do the job, and the client on the night wanted to rebook again, and true story, I was like, sure, I'd love to do this, and me sort of, putting the entrepreneurial business hat on, I was like, sure, you can book with me direct, like, you like my service, it's my booth, sure, let's do it. And I gave her the price, and her honest words were, no, I want the same thing. And I had been being charged out at £1,800, but it was my equipment and my time, and I was doing that job for £250. And it was all because they were ranking page 1 top 3, and I wasn't. And that was my motivator to then get to page 1 top 3. And I'd been through a bunch of SEO companies, a bunch of digital marketing companies, before I actually learned how to do it. And I've learned how to do it by making individual changes, seeing what those results were, mapping that, and then creating this page.
I'd just like to draw some connections and correlations between what you've shared with us today and some of our previous speakers. You'll notice that there's always a thread of information that you can follow. You asked that they post a popular quote or a testimony.
Yes.
was mentioned earlier by Kat, and she also talked about knowing who your ideal client is and setting up a process to do that. And it's clear that your process is taking your ideal client into consideration for some of the decisions you've made. And others may have a different ideal client and need to make different qualifying decisions on their behalf. And you are?
My name's Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Paul from Australia.
From Australia?
Wow. That's wow. I thought I had to be from London as well.
I've been doing my own SEO for many years and been through many SEO companies and eventually decided to do it myself as well. I did learn a few little nuggets at the start about showing the domain information. I always keep it private and there's a couple of little things there. I thought maybe that could be one little thing holding me back because everything else is in order.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the metadata on, when you put metadata, I always leave that empty because my theory is that whatever someone types could be unique and will pick up whatever, if that keyword is on the page, it'll show that in the listing, whereas if you type something in, then it's going to always show only that. Okay. What do you think about that? Is it okay to just leave that blank so that it...
So the you talking about the meta description or the metadata?
Yeah.
The description. Okay. So the meta description is it has no Google ranking factor, but what it does is it increases your click-through rate. So if somebody was to search, in fact I'll show you here now. So if somebody was to search, for argument's sake, hold on a second. Right. So let's use this as it's a really good example. I'm just going to zoom in. So deliberately on the retro photo with hire page, we have not specified any meta description. So you can see Google has now pulled in data which it feels is relevant. So what's included? Retro photo with unlimited instant prints, etc., etc. That has no bearing on SEO, but what that does is it affects, if somebody decides to read it, the click-through rate, which is the percentage chance of somebody then clicking. They're looking for a retro photo with hire in London, and there's nothing there that really talks about retro. It just talks about what's included. So it's free real estate that you can optimize to increase the click rate, but not necessarily appear in the rankings.
Yeah. So I thought that by having no metadata and just letting Google choose what it's going to have a click-through rate, because Google knows, like, someone might type another word.
No, it will decide what is most relevant. You, as a user of that page, as a master of that page, will know more about what that page is than Google, because it's just pulling off as a machine.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. And you are?
Mike. So I actually have two very quick questions. One, I know you said H1 should only do once. What about H2, H3, H4, H6? How many times should...
How did you know my phone number?
Well, I looked it up online, Scott. How many times should you use each one of those? Is there a maximum? And should you use them only in order?
You have to use them in order. And the way to determine the order largely is by hierarchy. So photo booth hire London is my primary, H1. The corporate wedding and party photo booth hire is my secondary, so they are all H2s. And then venues, other services, FAQs, they become H3. And as you move down, as you move up the numbers, usually the font size gets smaller and the importance becomes less and less and less. But there's no definitive number of H2s, H3s, H4s, H5, so long as they all flow within the order of H2, H3, H4, H5.
Okay, so importance is in the first point H1, then H2, H2, H2,
yes.
H3, H3, okay.
So, no, that's your second question. Thank you. Okay, only because we have a line.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth from Oregon. Your homepage,
yes.
How is that different than these pages? Do you have a homepage?
So we only rent out photo booths in London. So your homepage is your master page. So like I said at the beginning, the biggest search term in our industry is photo booth, hire or rental, and location. So you always want your homepage to target that primary location. And then subsequent pages can target other products and other locations.
Okay, so right now I have a main homepage with links to everything I do.
Correct.
So should I be concentrating SEO on that page or on the pages for the product?
So what's your location?
Oregon.
Okay, so if somebody would search photo booth rental Oregon, your homepage needs to be everything around photo booth rental Oregon, but then on the areas we cover, You then want to have a map, and then you want to have the other locations in and around Oregon that you would cover. So if somebody was to, so I don't know any other locations around Oregon, but
Bend.
Fine. So if somebody was to then click on Bend, that would then load another page, which is then targeted for photo booth rental Bend.
So do you suggest separate websites then?
No, same
Because I'm a
website.
photographer with a photo booth business along with it.
Yep.
So my main page is photography related.
So if your homepage is around photography and that's your core business, keep it like that and create another page dedicated for photo booths. And I'll tell you why. Everybody else in Oregon who's got a photo booth business is making their homepage that primary location. So you will struggle to make that homepage because it's photographic. Photo booths.
Perfect. And thank you for your good question. Thank you, Bryce, for putting his face up.
Yes, earlier you were talking about the private servers. I know they're all important, but I'm curious how important that is, because that's, 3 to 4 times the price of we're talking thousands of dollars compared to hundreds of dollars to switch from.
It's a really good question. It purely depends on your current provider. And what I mean by that is, do you need a dedicated IP to rank page 1 top 3? No. Do you need an SSL certificate? No. Will it help you once you combine all the other aspects? Yes. Will it keep you there? Yes. But as a primary focus, you don't need to have these things. But you will eventually need them to maintain and keep your page 1 top 3 position.
I'm not going to disagree with you, except to say that if you don't have the SSL certificate, that your site, you can't even, people won't be able to visit it. And that might be a US thing. I'm not sure where it is, where you are. But here, if you don't have that, forget it, you're lost. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Duan from Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, that's my town.
I'm just curious, I've been working on our website for about 5 years now, and I pretty much have everything that you have listed there. I was just wondering, and it's such a saturated market like Los Angeles, once you have all of these things in place, from there, is it something that you just keep making new pages to kind of rank for more things, or do you just, is it a sitting and waiting game, or how many updates, like do you make other updates, anything like that?
Can you see me after my session finishes? Because I would really be interested, because I'm in London, you're in Los Angeles, they're 2 hotspots in the world for anything. If you've got all of that information and you're not ranking, the only thing I can attribute that to is lack of backlinks, which is a third-party websites promoting your website.
He just said he doesn't have any of that, so there you go, that's your next homework assignment. I would also add blogging, and I also know that Arif, we have a couple more minutes, a few more questions, and I know you're going to be gracious enough to wait in the back and answer more. Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Your name is?
Nizia.
Nizia, where are you from?
Boston. So my question is, SEO, right? Is this something you do constantly, or is just a one-time thing that you go on Google, set this up, and it's done?
So my mentor said one simple thing.